Hi, my name is Joanna Whitney. I am an intuitive artist, a student of natural law, and an energy practitioner. And I'm continuing to investigate and pursue information about mentalism as the primary principle of the Kabbalion, the law of mentalism, being the thesis of the Kabbalion and the following six principles, or seven, no, yeah, six principles, um, prove out the law of mentalism, flesh it out. But the law of mentalism is in the etheric plane, and the remaining six principles are in duality, where we are. But we all have access to the etheric plane through mentalism, which does have to be practiced. Once you're aware of it, um, and understand the whole concept, it does have to be practiced, I would say, daily for the rest of our lives. Especially now. I mean, my whole purpose in doing these videos is to try to dig deeply into ancient knowledge to find out what the dark occult Luciferians know that they've been keeping from us, trying to make us into golems, enslaved golems that just do their bidding, cutting us off from the spiritual realm, which is where we came from. That's their whole purpose. Well, I mean, I'm not sure what their whole purpose is. I'm not sure what I don't really know. Like, is it to create a place for the gray aliens to live or what? I don't know what their ultimate goal is, or the archons, the off-planet archons that are ruling them. Whatever, you guys can figure out for yourselves what you believe about that. You can do Mark Passio's work from podcast 1 through 196 or 200, like I did, to learn natural law, learn and understand it. And I already was doing it under a different name, but it had to be refined and expanded. And I had to do a lot of work, because I'm a right-brained artist. So I was unable to stand up for myself at that time, 2015, when I first was turned on to Mark's work. So I've had to do a lot of work to strengthen my character to become someone who could stand up. And then I was tested during the lockdowns, the mask mandates. I was tested, and then I had to do more trauma healing, so that I could calmly stand up, not violently stand up. So, yeah, there's a lot of work to be done, and there's no rest at this point because we're in a war, a spiritual war right now, a war for our minds. And um, the knowledge is out there. Most recently, my most recent discovery was the let's see, what's it called? International Association of the Preservation of Occult Spiritual and Periodicals, I believe. That's what it's called. And I put the link in the description of that. And it has, thousands, it seems like thousands of periodicals from the 1800s through the early part of the 19th century, 1900s, 20th century on these topics. One of which, whoops, let's see if I can do this, is this book. I bought this book from Amazon. Now, I don't really like to buy stuff from Amazon, but there's certain things that I can't get except from Amazon. And I had to buy something. And in order to get free shipping, I had to add another item. And so I was able to get this book, um, which is a reprint of the original, which is free on that website I just told you about. So you don't have to buy this book. This was only 12 bucks though. And I just turned to this page today, just now. I just opened it up and it says, the will, next to health comes self-government, the development of will and the power to concentrate your energies. Will can be cultivated by the exercise given in part 4, but the initial power of will depend upon your concentration and mental discipline. A person deficient in firmness, self-esteem, conscientiousness, and continuity is not likely to have a strong will. But if, in addition to the foregoing, they have those faculties which tend to timidity, lack of concentration, want of courage, as far as will, now that's capitalized, is concerned, they would not develop concentration. So then it goes on to say, this is the crux. If you grasp the elementary principles of concentration and mental discipline, you will be the master of the laws through which the human mind is molded and swayed, and of that intangible and subtle power which controls where even daggers fail. This is exactly what we've been talking about. Um, but see, the thing is, we've been applying all these principles with a mind that doesn't know concentration. And that's, you can look at the world right now and see that the dark occult Luciferians definitely are after that. They want us to be double and triple minded so that we can't concentrate on one thing. And, you know, the pocket flask, your phone, you know, you're constantly on your phone. I don't know about you, but I have to break that habit. I mean, I find myself at the stoplight checking my this, that, and the other thing. And then you get a dopamine hit, you know, then you get addicted to the dopamine hits. So this is totally fragmenting the mind when back then single-mindedness. And see, even back then, this was in 1915, this book was written. So then he quotes Shakespeare, "How poor are they who have no patience? What wound did ever heal but by degrees?" Shakespeare. Patience and perseverance is the price of success. Even if you get Chat GPT to do all your work for you, you're still going to need patience and perseverance because we're in the in this realm, even the man-made world of the internet is under natural law, even though it doesn't appear to be, but it is. It matters not how unimportant these instructions may seem to you or how simple they may appear. Make up your mind to follow them in every detail. Do not pass judgment upon a thing until you have given it a fair trial. Remember, the greatest things in life are often the simplest things. This is still true, even though everything out there is complicated. That's why I'm doing this series, is because we have to go back to focusing on the old ways of doing things and just stop looking at the complicated mess on the show that they're putting on for us in the political theater screen. It may seem to you that the exercises are too simple to produce the astounding results which the writer claims, but if you will only give the lessons a thorough trial, you will be more than enthusiastic in your praises of them. So that's what I opened to this morning, just to find something to read to you out of this book. And I have some notes that I took about this topic, concentration. See, the Kabbalion really didn't go into that. And no, I don't even see that the arcane teachings and arcane formulas really go into that. I mean, maybe they produce concentration if you follow the directions, but I'm not even sure, honestly, that most of us are going to be capable of following those directions. It would be good to know that your goal is concentration because it's so hard now, okay? And like Max Heindel only gives one concentration exercise. Whereas in this book, there's at least, I don't know, there's 20 or more concentration exercises, and they build slowly towards the end result. So it should be pretty simple to do, because 5+ minutes, you could do it. And I just want to read from my notes here a little bit. Most occultists and hermetic mentalists do consider concentration to be the core foundational ability that underlies all higher mental and magical work. Here's why. According to the major threads of hermeticism, theosophy, Rosicrucianism, and occult psychology, uh, one, mentalism begins with control of mind. So the Kabbalion starts with the principle of mentalism. The all is mind, the universe is mental. If the universe is mental in nature, the mental mastery is spiritual mastery. Concentration is the first form of mental mastery, the ability to hold a thought steadily. 2, concentration equals a mental laser beam. Occultists like William Walker Atkinson taught that concentration channels your thought like a focused ray, allowing visualization to become vivid, affirmations to penetrate the subconscious, intent to activate the will. And let me just pause for a moment, okay? Will. I have my will in my solar plexus, and then there is God's will. And I can pray for access to God's will. And this is God's will for me. So I can pray through for every single exercise that is like an impossible mountain for me to do because of the culture we're living in. I can ask God for help. Now, again, it does help me that I have fully surrendered to God's will. Like I basically work for God, the power, the unseen, the pattern, nature. I pray for about everything, and I pause and wait, and I live by natural law. Do unto others as I would have others do unto me. So like if you're out there, trying to get yours and you pray, you may feel blocked. But then again, you may not need to do that. You may be able to use your will. All of us are different. Um, Energy to magnetize outcomes. The mental laser beam energy. Without concentration, your mind is scattered and you can't shape reality with a fragmented tool. 3, magical will equals applied concentration. Now, I'm not a big fan of Aleister Crowley, but Crowley, Barden, and others, Michael Doriel, who translated the Emerald Tablets in his own way and started the Brotherhood of the White Temple, I believe it's called, in Sedalia, Colorado, which is still around, and has periodicals on that website. And others link concentration with the development of will, the capital W. Without the ability to sustain attention, you cannot direct your magical will, visualize clearly, or hold intention during meditation and your intentions. Now, sword fingers, remember? This is a way to Qigong. All of this stuff does go back to Qigong, and I'm going to talk about this later in another episode, probably. And I'm going to also talk about how I seem to have bypassed having to do these exercises. And nobody's bringing this up, but I'll talk about it at the end. Concentration precedes all inner senses. Clairvoyance needs sustained mental silence and attention. Astral projection requires focused will and visualization. Invocation, evocation involves intense mental imagery and intent. Manifestation, built on clarity and persistence of directed thought. All of these fail without concentration. Franz Barden, in Initiation into Hermetics, insists, quote, without concentration, no magical practice can succeed. When I say magical, like it has a bad rap, okay, but it's all the same thing. Magic is simply the same thing that we're doing right now, studying the laws of this realm so that we can use them instead of being used by them. Because if we're not, like, you could just live and let live here, down here, like, and not, I mean, I'm not poo-pooing live and let live, but I'm just talking about just, going along to get along or whatever. And then you would be used by them. And if we weren't in a spiritual war, that might be okay, right? But the dark occult Luciferians are using the laws against us right now. So in a black magic way, they're using black magic. So, there's nothing wrong with investigating all the tools available and using them for good and calling it magic or calling it energy practice, whatever you want to call it. It's all semantics. But I mean, in my mind, there is this fine line where the black magicians think that they have the right to utilize these laws for their own personal gain. And so um, mine is to pray and ask for the direction that God wants me to go in, and also to try to think about others and how they will be affected, all sentient beings, and also um, to just add in for the highest good of all concerned in my intention, my continuous intention. Um, okay, so don't be weirded out by magic. I could easily call myself a high priestess of art magic and have it not be weird. And I may start doing that. I don't know. We'll see. Franz Barden, his entire first phase of training in the initiation into hermetics is devoted to mastering one pointed focus, empty mind, which is vacancy of thought, and directed imagination. Only once these are strong do you move to energy work or spirit contact, according to him. Common exercises used by occultists to build concentration are candle gazing, which strengthens visual focus, counting breath cycles, which creates mental anchoring in the body, holding a single image for 5 minutes, imagination development, staring at a dot on the wall overcomes restlessness, observing thoughts without reacting builds will over mind. So, concentration is the gateway to mentalism. All occult powers rest on your ability to direct and hold thought. It is the master key. See, that's why this is called the master key. The master key. Sorry about that. Um, learning to draw and oh, this is my thing. Okay, so I have been an artist since I was a little kid, and so this is what I've discovered is that learning to draw and practicing blind and partial blind contour drawing teaches concentration. So this is if you hate concentration meditation and are willing to suspend your belief that you can only draw a straight line with a ruler or whatever stupid thing you tell yourself. This is what everybody tells himself about drawing. Um, I can only draw a straight line with the ruler. Or they say something else and I can't remember what it is. It's a typical thing. I don't know. Everybody says this. If you suspend that and you like, get a copy, $5 copy of Betty Edwards' first or second edition of Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain and follow those directions, you would be amazed at the concentration you will get from learning how to draw, which is a whole other thing I'm going to talk about in a second because In addition to this, it also draws etheric power down through your body, increasing your learning concentration exponentially, in my experience. So, yeah, I mean, I just happened upon this because I had a talent for art, and um, I did it in high school. I did Betty Edwards, drawing on the right side of the brain. Now she's expanded her thing to try to make money, and it's gotten way too complicated for me. I don't really like her new books. But those $5 first editions are available on eBay. Um, and of course they're available in Anna's. And there, I mean, a lot of her exercises are like the same exercises that most people use to learn how to draw anyway, but I like hers particularly because she's talking about the right brain and accessing the right brain and doing the left right brain switch, which we could all use right now. Because not only do we need concentration, but we need brain balance. So the two things are almost synonymous if you think about that. Also, in addition, the STAR exercise developed by Eugene Furson also develops concentration quickly and easily, albeit painfully, but the pain is what holds your focus. And that's on my website. I have a link to the science of being, which explains the STAR exercise. And I'm going to get into more of that later on in other episodes. But I did want to just say this because I don't think I've seen anyone mention this out there. You know, I've seen a million high-tech AI British people, male and female, reading the Kabbalion and regurgitating the same crap over and over about it. But I don't see anybody really getting down to the nuts and bolts of what mentalism actually is. And even, you know, in those periodicals, I maybe they assume you know about concentration, but L.W. de Lawrence doesn't assume that, and he creates this whole book about concentration. And so that's my uh spiel for today. And until next time, hopefully you guys will do some concentration exercises. I mean, I have thought about maybe doing some in these videos, but I'm not sure that's what I want to get into. But maybe I will. Maybe I'll do like start ending each of these videos with a meditation or something like that. We'll see.